Perceptions could change. Opinions can be formed with more and accurate information. Get all sides, views, and opinions on topical issues. Have your say on Perspectives. With Toyin Alabi at 9 a.m. Mondays to Fridays on Invicta 98.9 FM. Perspectives. All sides, all views, all individuals are welcome.
Good morning and welcome to the program Perspectives this morning. And this morning on the program Perspectives, we'll be staying with a focus of this administration when it came to power, and that's going back to 2015. And one of the things that this administration gave to Nigerians was that it was going to fight corruption. And it, posed on that corruption, if we do not kill corruption, corruption will kill us as people. And he said that corruption, was a monster. That means with Hydra, a Hydra-Headed Monster that needs to be fought in all of, the will that we can give to it. But again, 7 years I'm on with more, of what this administration is doing. And of course, some of the, focus of this administration had been that it will tackle some issues, pertinent issues, and issues begging for help and begging for a cry that it would deal with. But again, here we are with the issues confronting the nations, and we'll talk about matters arising from Nigeria. But let's look at it with corruption and how well this administration had done on fighting corruption. Now, you all would be, in the picture of what just came out from the EFCC. That's what's coming out from it, that the Accountant General of the Federation had been arrested. And arrested for what? You're talking about allegedly now with findings about what had happened with the Accountant General's office, that 80 billion naira had been found with the Accountant General's office. And so after so many calls that the Accountant General of the Federation should report and clear on issues like that, he did not show up, and so EFCC had to go into what it did now by arresting the Accountant General of the Federation. And I like to quote here what the EFCC had said about it, that the Commission's verified intelligence showed that the AGF raked off the funds through bogus consultancies and other illegal activities using proxies, family members, and close associates. The funds were laundered through real estate investments in Kano and Abuja. That's what the EFCC is telling us. So as at this point, we're talking about allegedly. These were findings that the EFCC did on the Accountant General of the Federation. But I'd like to go a little further, because again, trust Nigerians, they will just not go to sleep with something like this. And what Nigerians are saying about this with 80 billion naira, and from Post, somebody made an analysis of it and was saying that if you make 28.3 million a year, it would take you 40 years to make 1 billion naira. The Accountant General also, who is allegedly said to have stolen 80 billion, that in 4 years, at 28.3 million naira a year would take you 3,200 years to accumulate that much money. That's the analysis that people are giving to it. And you just wonder that, how did we get here? And of course, let's not make a big deal about the Accountant General's office. What about this? So much that have gone in other agencies, parastatals, and ministries of government. We're talking about monies that have been fraudulently made by key persons of the offices that we just talked about. And again, we'll look at it here that the EFCC, an institution that was created, go back, there was Obasanjo's government that created the EFCC and how much he had done remember Nuhu Ribadu, as the first chairman of the EFCC, and how much that he had done in that institution. But again, over the years, EFCC and what it is doing about Nigerians through fraudulent activities, taking money and stifling the economy of a country. We also know that this government had not been, some people would say, with the release of the former governor of Plateau State, talking about Joshua Darie, and of course we know about what had happened to his counterpart in Taraba State, freed by corruption charges again. And so, what are we saying? What are we getting for an administration that has said that we will fight corruption to a standstill? But what is there now? I was sharing my thoughts this morning with an activist, again, and he's a student, leader in the past of NANS, the Nigerian Association of Nigerian Students, and talking about what he had done in ABU too as a student leader. An activist now, and is a watcher of what is coming out of the Nigerian state. My guest this morning, my phone, is Aluko Daniels. Aluko Daniels, good morning. I'm glad to have you on the show today.
Good morning and happy new beginning to all of us in Nigeria.
Happy new beginning. I don't know where you're coming from with that, but again, Aluko Daniels. Okay, we're happy to have happy new beginnings. All right. But again, just bringing to you this just showed Ahmed Idris, Accountant General of the Federation, and what had come out of his office, that 80 billion. That's allegedly now, and of course we will wait for the findings of the EFCC. But that's what the EFCC is saying about a man that's been kept or that has been in charge of this institution or as Accountant General of the Federation. 80 billion naira fraud. What are you making in the fight against corruption, and what had come out from this administration in one of the things that he told Nigerians that it will deal with, it will tackle, especially with what had happened with the past administration?
I think first and foremost is for us to realize that for every country to make it in this life, people must be ready to combat evil and call evil evil and not call evil good. And if you link it to spiritual, since we claim we are more religious than any other city, since we are killing for God. The book of Psalm 4 verse 2 says, we should ask the question, for how long will we allow many people to turn the glory and the honor of this country to shame? And for how long will individual or group of individuals begin to love vanity that doesn't add to life? And I think that's where we should be starting with. Today we're talking about the Accountant General. Have you also asked the President Muhammadu Buhari, that oversees the petroleum industry, that from today officially government has said they cannot account for 80% of the fuel that we are selling? Have we also asked the government to give account for why over 90% of our budget is being used to service loans, and we are still accruing more loans? This is the beginning. Because this government came in with the pride that they are going to fight corruption and the rest of it. 6 years or 7 years down the line, have we really fought corruption? How many of those corruption have we prevented? We're talking about 80 billion. Could it be that there are no mechanisms in place to have prevented it? My answer is yes, there are mechanisms. Who compromise this mechanism? Let's even start with the EFCC and ICPC. Yes, they've been inviting him before now, he didn't come. But let's ask them, what steps did they also take to prevent this crime? Those are the issues. It's not just coming to tell us you catch somebody. You are an institution, and the best way to fight corruption globally is to prevent it. Because at the end of the day, care is not taken. Plea bargaining will come, or they will settle some people and compromise the whole process. We've seen governors that are being forgiven without any reparation from them. We've seen it. Under the watch of the president. On what ground will the president that is fighting corruption begin to give people state pardon? when those that really deserve state pardons are the people in awaiting trial or convicted for minor offense. So these are the issues. As long as we do not put in place mechanism to check corruption, as long as we also allow people to derogate on their duty, the bank that this man used, have we heard anything about the bank? Because he cannot just steal 80 billion without the compromise either of a civil servant, alliance of a civil servant, or a bank manager and the rest of it. Who are the people managing this account for him? To me, it's a big shame to this country that we pride ourselves as giants of Africa and cannot prevent ordinary crime of fighting corruption. And this is why Boko Haram and insecurity is separate. And we cannot take this in isolation of other state crime we see. What happened in Sokoto is state crime. Where were the security intelligence? Apart from declaring coffee, what has the governor done in practical measure to avert that nonsense that happened in Sokoto? And some people are celebrating it. It is very important that we realize that until we put in place mechanisms to prevent crime, including fraudulent acts, that an accountant general that is supposed to oversee other ministry is the one stealing it. We are losing this battle. And it's a deliberate battle that the APC is making us to lose. And why am I calling APC? Because this is their campaign promises. Why am I also calling APC? It's under APC watch that a president that claims he cannot pay less than 30 million to vie for president is now asking for 100 million. The people that pay for those 100 million, are we sure they are not an accomplice of the accountant general? Have we scrutinized where they got those humongous money to pay 100 million, and at the end of the day, as old as some of them are with their grave hair, the party have made them to sign a document that they have withdrawn from a race? That's to tell you that there are a lot of things fishing. Secondly, I'm happy that this radio station is in Kaduna. Recently, we heard what the current governor of Kaduna said, that when Amechi was the governor of River, he was using River's money to sponsor CPC, the former party of the president. So this is why we are losing. We cannot go to equity with soil and soil garments and expect the best. Nigerians must rise up and begin to ask people across party lines. PDP is not an exception. That's why even the issue of Jonathan was coming up at this point. The president that could not account for when we are selling at a high price of oil. We are borrowing money to pay civil servants. And people, just look at the charade that APC and PDP is bringing on board. How many of them have claims state? Very few of them. And this is why Nigerians must rise up. As we prepare for coming election, even before the coming election, we must begin to ask fundamental questions. Anybody coming for any office, where did he get the money? How did he get the money? Who are his allies? Because at the end of the day, don't be surprised. This 80 billion is part of the money that we used to sponsor some criminalities in this country, or some criminal elements in the name of one political party or the other. So fundamentally, until Nigeria owns the process of fighting corruption and preventing it, go nowhere. But this is a big indictment on EFCC and ICPC.
Aluko Daniels, this is said. I mean, the EFCC is coming out to say that this is part of their findings about what had happened with the Accountant General of the Federation. So at this point, we're just saying that it's alleged that 80 billion naira, must be accounted for by the Accountant General of the Federation. And I also go into one area that you've mentioned about state pardon that was given to, again, on fraud and on financial corruption that had been, seen or noticed or, alleged with the former governor of Plateau State, talking about Josh Dari here and talking about Jolly Inyame. Now, what we're saying here, we're looking at an issue that had been confirmed, and of course the courts had come out with their findings to say that these people should go to jail. But we also know about the prerogative of the executive here, and that's what we're talking about, the president here, that he has it, powers given to him, that he could go on to do that. But for you and for Nigerians, what came as shocking is that the courts had confirmed that these people had had done, were committed, these crimes had been committed by them. So, prerogative of government or president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in state pardon of these people. What was wrong with that?
A lot is wrong. And permit me to go spiritual. If you look at the book of Psalm chapter 5, verse 6.
You do that a lot, Aluko Daniels.
He says many of our politicians, including those in government and those that have been pardoned and those that have not been pardoned, and those also exercising the power, he said many a times there's no faithfulness in their mouth. So when they open their mouth, there's no faithfulness. This president, this APC government promised to fight corruption. Is there faithfulness in what they are doing? Even the PDP. We move to the second one. He says wickedness is in their inward part. Wickedness is in their inward part. Anybody that abets or allow corruption or corrupt individual to go scot-free is wickedness in his inner heart. Because a lot of people have died. That's why today ASIS on strike. That's why today the health sector is not working. That's why today infrastructures are not in place. It also says that their approach, if you check their approach very well, that it is an open grave. And let me take the point from that. A court of competent jurisdiction have passed sentence on the governor of Plateau State and by extension the governor of Naira State. But before I go further, let's also ask: are they the only governor that have invested? What happens to other governors? And this is where the North is destroying itself. The North deliberately, some of the governors in the North have stolen more than previous governors. But because of solidarity of thieves, Baba, I read the book when I was in primary school, Baba, Ali Baba and the 40 thieves. So they don't like opening their, so that when they go, the next governor too will not open their secrets. But let's go to the issue of Daria and Taraba. The exercise of prerogative of mercy is not for subject of abuse. What the president of this country have done and what continuously many governors have done is abuse of that provision, the letter and the spirit of that provision. In applying that provision, the prerogative of mercy, the issue of justice must be there. The issue of fairness and equity must be there. And the issue of remorsefulness and change of heart must be there. And let's look at it. This governor, after they release them, have you also followed up what they have said, what they have done, how they are welcome? Has any one of them even if we go spiritual, both Islamic religion and the Christian religion, it makes more for restitution. Has any one of them restituted their ways? These are the issues. It's a subject of abuse that the Constitution gave the executive governor or president the power to exercise prerogative of mercy. It must not take away the sense of justice, fairness, and equity. And let's look at it. How much money did this governor were convicted for to have stolen? Is it not the state fund? Has the money been returned to the state? And then you also ask why they were in detention. Are we even sure they were in detention? Because in this country, there are people that are paid to sleep in hotels and somebody else answering their name in prison law. So if you put all these factors together, you will realize that this government and previous government have failures in exercising of their prerogative of to grant mercy or pardon. We have even seen in some states that people that are having capital punishment were granted a prerogative of mercy, not on the basis that they have spent a long time, not on the basis of health, not on the basis that they have become. Okay, we are asking about prison. Has the prison instead be able to reform its own worker? The welfare of the prison is what that a prison that cannot rehabilitate its own staff and give them a better welfare. Go to the prison. I've been to prison before. I was in Zaria prison for 8 months. I know the food they gave us. I know the poison they gave us as food. And I also know, as a matter of fact, there's no health facility. I also know, as a matter of fact, that there is no even line of constructive engagement to even rehab anybody. And that's why we have many criminals coming out of the prison. So if you put all these factors together, have they tested the sanity of the two governors before granting them the state pardon? It's part of the mechanism to manipulate the electoral process. They are releasing them to go to their state and do the APC bidding or a preferred choice of candidates bidding. It's not an act of justice. It's not an act of fairness. It's not an act of equity. In fact, if our president really wants to exercise that pardon and want to exercise that power with all fear of God, he should make sure that 70% of low crime, I call it low crime because some people, they just pick them on the street without much and dump them in the prison. Yeah, those are the ones that deserve it, not governors that sworn an oath and hold Bible or Quran to swear an oath to serve the people and went and looted the people, and you are granting them state pardon within few months that they serve in court. Even look at the judgment that was given. The sentence was to run concurrently, giving a capital punishment. You are asking people to run a concurrent. No, this is unfair. The president have lost the basis on which he came to the authority as the president of this country, claiming that is in integrity. Where is the integrity in what he has done? As far as I'm concerned, it's purely political charade. This is political banditry. It's not justice, even to anybody. And then you look at it, among the presidential candidates we have now, was it not alleged that Daria gave money to Atiku? You can see, because we have lost the battle against corruption, and that's why we see many people coming up in different names, people that don't even deserve to be fathers of their home. Let's go to Silva that just withdraw his nomination. Today we have fuel crisis. We don't have functional refinery, but somebody in that ministry wants to be head of state. Today, the Ministry of Education and Labor, they are washed up in terms of ministry, but we have ministers designate in those ministries coming out to do so, say what they want to be president. And then you go to Amechi flank. We are in Kaduna. We've not been able to account for those people that bandits have taken off. And you are coming out to say you want to be president. Nigeria must have a rethink so that these people that they are told to represent grace and their voice represent unfaithfulness should not be allowed in corridors of power if we want to have a better Nigeria. And look at Tamboa that cannot secure Sokoto State, cannot secure a student in his institution, want to be president of Nigeria. Is that the type of Nigeria we are praying for? Is that the type of Nigeria that Tafawa Balewa, Awolowo, and Zik and co fought for? This is very, very ungrateful. And each time these people lay claim to some of these individuals, nationalists and patriots that they are only desecrating their grave. And that's why Nigeria must not allow anybody to push us along ethnic or religious lines. Very commendable. Look at what has happened with the Deborah case. People are calling even from Saudi to condemn it. This is high time that people should realize that there's nobody that should fight. Anybody fighting for any God, you are demeaning the God. You are reducing the God.
Aluko Daniels.
Look at all that judgment we have also seen.
Aluko Daniels.
And now, fear play at all levels, not only at government, even as us as followers. We must allow that, so that at the end of the day, God can stand on our side and grant us the deserved victory that we really deserve in this country.
All right, Aluko Daniels, my guest this morning on the program, Perspectives, and we're looking at corruption, the fight against corruption. This Hydra-Headed, monster that Nigerians, this administration gave to Nigerians that it would fight it to a standstill. But what are we getting up to this moment? We'll talk about that after we still come back from this commercial break.
Wake up.
Let's wake up.
Good morning, everybody.
And what a beautiful morning it
And
is.
smell the coffee.
Let's get started, shall we?
Wake up and smell the coffee. On the Coffee Morning Drive, 98.9 in Victor FM.
We'll be right back after this quick commercial break. Are you serious? For real, are you serious? It's Victor FM.
Perceptions could change. Opinions can be formed with more and accurate information. Get all sides, views, and opinions on topical issues. Have your say on Perspectives. With Toyin Alabi at 9 a.m. Mondays to Fridays on Invicta 98.9 FM. Perspectives. All sides, all views, all individuals are welcome.
Welcome back. Is the program Perspectives this morning, and we're looking at what just came out, from the Nigerian, today, and that's talking about what had happened, what is coming out, especially from the EFCC as a body on financial, findings and institution of what happens with government and individuals too, about fraudulent activities of individuals and institutions in the Nigerian situation. Ahmed Idris, Accountant General of the Federation, allegedly said to have defrauded by various means the Federal Republic of Nigeria by 80 billion. That's what's been said. Now more can come out of it, we just do not know, but this is what has been put before the Accountant General, that diversion of funds of the Federal Republic of Nigeria into various various ways and means of defrauding the nation. And the EFCC had come on his page, so to say, and finding that this had happened. We know that again the EFCC, ICPC, these are institutions of government to tackle all of these issues of financial fraud. And the findings of this institution does say a lot about what individuals and people that have been put in government and institutions to handle or carry the affairs of government are found with. So what we're saying is that how has this been, and how could it have happened that a man like that could have done this to the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Because this is one area that Nigerians are still asking how this could have happened. But again, Ahmed Idris is just one in so many fraudulent cases of individuals that have defrauded the nation. And sharing thoughts with me on this matter, Aluko Daniels is an activist. He's been a students' union leader at national level, and that's talking about National Association of Nigerian Students. And of course, he had been with the Ahmadu Bello University as a student union leader too. So, and all of these, that we're seeing today, and the man that will talk about what is happening with the Nigerian state. And that's why we're having him. It's a long distance call to Aluko Daniels this morning. And yes. So, Aluko Daniels, just before we went on that break, or we took that break, you were talking about the situation of fraud and corruption that this administration had said to the Nigerian public that it would fight it to a standstill. Oh, these are promises that were made. And of course, other promises were made. But we're looking at corruption too. And corruption and how it's been handled and tackled in Nigeria. But this administration, how much it had done in the fight against corruption. So let's go on again and talk about other corrupt practices that we're seeing in other institutions. Let's look at ICPC and EFCC, the mandate given to these institutions. Now we're talking about institutions that again government has a hand. Government established its institutions, but let's also talk about the independence of these institutions. How independent are they, and how are they going about fighting corruption? What is your take on
it? Well, let's start from the police sector. At different times, we have different units, this, that, and fighting financial crime and the rest of it. At the end of the day, what happened? They were compromised. There was no independence. People were recruited on the basis of how unpatriotic they are and how uncooperative they are to fight corruption. And that is why the police arm and the deaths in those police fighting financial crime crashed and failed. Let's come to EFCC. How did we get to the EFCC? People celebrate Obasanjo for bringing EFCC. It's not. It was part of the blackmail after the bombing of the U.S. September 11. And they realized that, look, the best way to avert further reoccurrence is to make sure that people are nipped in their different countries. We begin to monitor how money moves so that terrorists do not take advantage of it. And unfortunately, the first bill that was supposed to have strengthened the independence and give a mechanism for fight corruption independence was compromised. The final law, the final act that was signed by Obasanjo was a compromised act. So we must understand at that point. It was from that point that the independence of EFCC and ICPC was eroded. Because The only thing that will have guaranteed their independence and make them functional and more operational is the law. And when the law is mortgaged on the basis of people that were in the Senate and House of Representatives that were corrupt, because they realize that if they allow an independent arm to fight corruption, many of them, 80% of them, will have gone into jail by now. So deliberately they make sure that they water down the provisions of the act. And what was signed by Obasanjo at the end of the day was a compromise act. So that was where we lost it. And given as limited as the operational line is, given the limited as the independence is, the recruitment process of bringing people on board in EFCC is also part of what has compromised the EFCC. Let's look at the first person that was appointed, Ribadu. But the provisions of the act itself, Ribadu is not supposed to head the EFCC because it specified that it must be somebody of this benchmark in rank. And as of that time, Ribadu was not of that standard, was not of that ranking. So that is the first compromise. And either you like it or not, who brought in Ribadu already compromised it. And that has been the antecedent in there. And another thing that also compromised independence is issue of not tenure security. Even as Ribadu was at the end of the day, was he not taken out of the office before he finished his tenure? Farida Mustafa, the same thing. Even the last one that happened, that was just promoted to the AIG now, is it not the same thing? It's the same thing. So consistently, the politicians, by their record, by their antecedent, by their disposition, will always look for a compromised person to put in position. So they compromise the process. And when the head is rotten, when the head of the fish is rotten, what happens to the body? It gets rotten also. It will be full of maggots. So when you bring somebody that doesn't deserve to have head an institution that's supposed to be independent, in the recruitment process, the person will also have a say. And then from that point, you also pick your own people. And we know what happened to Kiari, or the so-called, the over-celebrated super brat that today is in prison. That's supposed to go and answer case in U.S. We are still playing around with the judiciary to keep him here in Nigeria. So deliberately, people are recruited into either the police or fighting institutions like ESL and CPC on compromise basis, not on merit. When the last one was to be appointed, I know a guy that was very vibrant in Kogi State that was to be appointed. At the end of the day, he was thrown off and they brought this one up from nowhere. And then you put the record. So those are the issues. You recall that in this country, Ibori told Ribadu, he said not only will you be disgraced out of office, you will also be demoted and you will be finished. The only thing that didn't happen is that they didn't succeed in killing him. But everything that Ibori said will happen. You now ask yourself, if people like Iboru can escape justice in Nigeria and get indicted in other countries, we tell you that the independence of the EFCC and the ICC is already eroded and it's already corrupted. So you cannot have the independence in play when there's no secure tenure, when there's no secure funding, when in terms of recruitment it's not the best that you are allowed to come on board. So these are the process that have compromised the independence, not only the act, even the people that are enlisted are people that, not all of them, there's many of them that are still standing. And that's why they are not giving them the headship of those institutions. And you will recall that when Salami, the former man from Kwara State, was in ICPC, he was very vibrant. But immediately he was out of that place. What becomes? The same thing like NAFDAC. When Aquili was there, very vibrant. Now, do you hear anything about NAFDAC again? And look at the NDLA. Good. Marwa is doing it. You ask yourself, before Marwa was there, no NDLA. So these are the issues. If you bring in the very best in Nigeria to stand in the office, either as the head or as part of the process, believe you, we can win this war. The war against corruption in Nigeria is not beyond us. But we cannot continue to recycle adulterated and filtrated and polluted politicians, and we expect them to give us the best. They won't give us the best. And this is the lesson as we go towards 2023. Everybody go for it very best. And so that at the end of the day, the best of the best will be the one ruling in this country. Not people that are misfit, people that are dishonorable that we are calling honorable, people that are not excellent that we are calling your excellency. That That is the problem of this country.
Would this take a bite and a big bang on administrations, talking about the present and the past, about how Nigerians make up their minds about who, leads them? Would this, and what were the shortcomings, again, that you've seen with these institutions and a fight against corruption, I was saying, would be a benchmark for Nigerians to hold on to in the electoral process by, when they go to the polls, that they can make up their minds about what had happened and individuals that ran in the administration? Would it have an effect on the choices that Nigerians make come 2023?
Surely it will have the choice. It will have the effect. It may be negative. It may be positive. As we have the political landscape now, is already compromised. I say it's compromised because how will you ask somebody? Let me mention few people for you: Jagaban, Oshibanjo, and other people in APC. They paid 100 million. And you're asking people that are grandfathers to also sign.
Aluko Daniels, before we go further on that, let's just clarify an issue here. 100 million, and we're saying that the code of conduct would have known that these people could afford, not because they're in government, but could afford or have this, in their possession. So why are we making so much noise about 100 million being paid, for, getting nominations, and buying the forms for this? That these people could afford it, not because, they're in government or even outside government, they could afford this. Why are we making so much noise about, nomination forms here?
I laugh. Some of us, we know their history. And when people talk about the success of First Republic, it was not on the basis of cat and carry. It was on the basis of competence. It was on the basis of patriotism. It was on the basis of nationalism. It was on the basis of their track record, their antecedent. And if we just remember the antecedent of these people paying 100 million, many of them, I can tell you, they don't have that money. What APC have done, and by extension PDP, is pure money laundering. It's pure money laundering. Okay, let me give you an instance. They said Jonathan's ticket was bought by Alimajiri. Alimajiri that doesn't have food to eat. Alimajiri that doesn't have shelter. Alimajiri that doesn't go to school. Where did they get
association
of 100 million for Jonathan? I'm using Jonathan to tell you that the same way people are telling you people contribute to buy form is the same way. Okay, look at Emefiele later just withdraw. He told us at the point that the people that collected the anchor borrowed loan are not paying. Suddenly, rice farmer, rice eater, gather 100 million for him. And to tell you that we must go beyond the nationalizing of the process. Look at what has become of Emefiele. A city central bank governor going to court to ask for court to allow him. In other countries, that's a criminal act. The act of the CBN is clear. If at all you have to go into anything, you must get approval of the CBN board 3 months before that time. You must have submitted letter to the president 3 months before that time. That was not. The likes of Emefiele is not different from many of these people. And you are saying, okay, let's ask, what is the takeoff of the office for 4 years? Is it up to that money? No. That means at the end of the day, we are having a gang of people that have not meant well to this country, that have been parasites on the economy of this country. The people that have not allowed this country to develop, they are the ones raising that money. Nigeria is not for sale. Let's go back to the Second Republic. When Abiola wanted to be president of this country, what did Mekama Sule tell him? He said Nigeria is not for sale. If Nigeria was not for sale in 1979, is it in the year 2002 that Nigeria is for sale? And we have realized that when people pay money, that humongous money to get to an office, they are not going to promote good governance, they are going to promote bad governance. They are not going to fight corruption. They are going to aid and abet corruption, because the first thing they will do is to reap in whatever investment they have done. And that is why some of us are saying, no, if you investigate these people very, very well, some of them, are they not owing bank? Is AMCOM not after some of them for some time? How many of them, some of them are former governors? Okay, let's go to Zamfara. They are having insecurity. How many presidential candidates do we have for Zamfara? We have Yari. He's having case in EFCC. We have the former governor, the one that brought Sharia crisis to Nigeria. You see him there. And if you put him, just suppose him to with the earlier case that we handle, do you know that the Accountant General just married a 16-year-old girl? These people, they will not marry out their own daughter and children at 16 years, but they will go and collect the daughter of a poor person and marry them. So if you look at the antecedents of these people, some of them were former governors. How did they run the economy of the governor? Were they not the ones that have denied local government autonomy? Were they not the ones that are facing all manner of things? Let's look at APC, the current APC chairman. The current APC chairman. Is he not still having EFCC case? So if he buys the form for 100 million, you now say it's his money. No. We must tell ourselves the truth. This government said they are fighting monetization of the electoral process. They said they are fighting godfatherism. They said they are fighting anybody that... Even the president came out and said this presidency ticket must not be given to the highest bidder. When you ask people to bring 100 million, is it not already preparing ground for highest bidder?
Okay, look, let's just for the few minutes that we have, get to share with the audience out there about thoughts that they have about what is playing out with fight against corruption, and of course this government's stance that it will fight corruption to a standstill. We'll take your calls on 081 40,000 989, 081 40,000 989, or 070 87800 989, 070 87800 989. Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning to your guests. You are on to Engineer Manuel. I honestly, Mr. Alabi, God bless you and bless this guest you brought to studio today. You have said almost the minds of Nigeria, or my mind. Let me say myself, because some may be different from the truth, but you have spoken as a true Nigerian. Mr. Alabi, if you remember, I told you, Engineer Manuel, told you that this organization are not fighting corruption. If you remember presently, the former APC chairman say anyone that crossed over to APC, their sins are forgiven. That's why you saw them the campaign left, right, and center to APC saying that they consult. They will never consult anybody. Now, for example, let me ask your guest: are we really fighting corruption? Because I don't agree we are fighting corruption. 80 billion Accountant General diverted. The former acting EFCC chairman there was allegation that he diverted most of the loot. Most of the loot they recover. A panel was set and he was confirmed that he was allegedly corrupt. Now, he was now promoted. Are we promoting corrupt people, or we should promote the good citizens of this country, those that are patriotic? Because for me, it's obvious. Now, let me use it the other way around. Somebody take 100 million to buy form. Are we expecting dividends of democracy from the person, or to go there and get back his money? If really they are fighting corruption, didn't you think all these people that bought this form, EFCC will be used to arrest them? Where did they get this money from? For me, he has spoken well.
All right.
Let him answer this question.
Okay.
What will be the outcome of this Accountant General? Because I heard that today it will be released, and that's the end of the case.
All right, because it's we're still talking about just the AFCC's findings, and it's still not a confirmed issue. It allegedly said to have diverted funds going to about 80 billion. All right, I'm still going to share some
Hello,
calls
good morning, sir.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to your guest, sir.
Good morning.
You are blessed, sir. Your guest has spoken well. I'm Habu calling, sir.
Abu, yes.
Yes, I have 3 questions, sir. Remember, when late Abakari died, the successor came. They said there are a lot of money packed inside Abakari's office. Up to today, we couldn't hear anything about that money. They not even mention the money. Is this government fighting for us? That is number 1 question, sir. 2, sir, why if Emmanuel is being removed in the office, he will be replaced with Abdullahi? And if Abdullahi removed in the office, he will be replaced by Adamu? Why is it like that? That is 2. 3, sir. Sir, do you know that by privatization of Nigeria private public offices, do you know these people are indirectly solely Nigeria? Sir, I want all these 3 questions should be answered. Thank you, sir.
All right, Abu. Thank you. All right, just one more. I'll squeeze in one more call, and then I come back to Aluko Daniels. Hello. Good morning. Hello. Good morning. Hello.
Hello. Good morning, sir.
Yes.
Francis calling.
Yes, Francis.
Thank you. I guess I really open our mind and comfort us according to what is happening in this nation, because honestly we are no longer happy as citizens of this country. And the simple truth is that the way things are going in this government and the election we are expecting to come, as a Nigerian, I'm not seeing any changes to come in this country. I'm not seeing anything to go positively in this nation again, because everything has been compromised. And those that are compromising our future and our happiness are the ones contesting or fighting for leadership of this nation. So therefore, the way I think Nigeria should go is we to rise up, if possible. Let Nigeria have their way. People should go according to their separate way.
Right, Francis, I'm getting you here too. Aluko Daniels, let me come back to you on what some of the callers are calling for: the fight against corruption, or the fight and how to tackle corruption. People are saying that the callers are saying that how well can we fight corruption when even the government of the day has not in any way shown its intention to fight it to a standstill. And again, this is also by the callers here being put on 2023, that the way forward for Nigerians is that 2023 may just be on Nigerians again that will come on board on matters of leadership who have been corrupt that we see. And so how can we get good governance and the best of how to tackle the issues of corruption when some of these people have been have in their kids one form of corruption to handle or to be looked at?
I think first and foremost is for us to admit that we surely have a very rich history, and the history of this country is a positive one. And we've seen Nigeria, even in this dispensation, excelling themselves in different fields. Number one is to agree that previous government and current governments have not successfully mobilized Nigerians to engage in the fight against corruption, and it's deliberate. They know if they do that, they will lose. And that's why deliberately they are not allowing Nigeria to take the fight. Look at the policy, the whistleblower policy, that was gaining momentum and gaining much ground. What did they do? They make sure that they use the Senate under the leadership of Saraki that wants to be president to make sure that they kill that whistleblower policy. In other countries, in India and other places, it is the whistleblower policy that have helped, because that will prevent the crime rather than remedy what cannot be remedied. That's one. Two, what can we do towards having a better people? Let me say this. That is not all the politicians that are corrupt. Majority are corrupt, but it's not all of them. Just like the book of Daniel. Daniel was under Nebuchadnezzar, a corrupt king, but he was never corrupt. The same thing Nehemiah. So there are many Daniel and Nehemiah, people that have not been in office to loot, and we know them. Even in the police force, we know them. Even in the civil service, we know them. It's for us to deliberately go out of our ticket and deliberately go after those things belong for them, not on the basis of salt, or they bring clothes, or they give us beer to drink, or palm wine, or brukutu. It shouldn't be on that basis. It shouldn't be on the basis of religion, ethnicity, or anything. It should be on the basis of their competence, their track record, what they have done before, how they did it, and how did they achieve it. It must also be on the basis of the program they placed before us, and we can test and stand on their integrity that they will carry. We have even in APC, in PDP, we have many people that are not stealing. It's for us to look out for them. And if at all we don't get anybody that does this, we can look for a minimum criminal. Sorry, I'm using this. I'm even saying that in a colony of criminals, there is a lesser evil. If at all we can go, because it is
a criminal cannot be said to, have another name than being a criminal again.
I am saying that in this country that we are, there are people across all religions, across all regions that stand the test of time that are not corrupt. And that is why Nigeria must not allow APC and PDP and other parties to continue this gravitating of a millionaire becoming president or senator. We must be able to stop it. We should be able to go to our local government and get people that we know we can stand for. There's a former chairman in Agaye local government in Niger State. That man has been in politics from First Republic till they strangulated him. That man consistently has been representing these people and representing them well and better. So we shouldn't say people must continue because they are wanting. No, we should test them. If they don't perform, we vote them out. And I'm saying this. The slogan towards next election is that the son of nobody, the daughter of nobody should be able to become somebody in this country. Because what they are doing now is to mortgage the future political space for their children. So that at the end of the day, in the next election, they say you must bring billions. We must stop that. We are not able to stop this. But as we move towards after 2022, we must be able to stop it. And that's why people should not look at PDP or APC. People should go beyond them. Where there is credible candidate, vote for it. It happened in First Republic. People did not just follow a MPC, they followed NEPO. In Second Republic, people did not just follow MPN, they followed PRP. Even in Kaduna State, was Balarabe Musa not there? And I can tell you that there are more Balarabe Musa and more better Balarabe Musa if we dim our searchlight and we are not going for just stipend. People that will dress us in rag for campaign. And after the day, there's nothing. We must also realize that many of these people that are using money to buy us on the eve of election never meant well for us. That means they are shipping us. And as electorate, we must not sell ourselves, we must not sell our conscience, so that we can have a better Nigeria for all of us. If we want this insecurity or banditry and other shenanigans to end, we need somebody that will be firm, somebody that will be disciplined, somebody that will be nationalistic, somebody that will promote inclusive governance, that will take the best all over Nigeria and allow the best to man both, not just our security area, even our economic sector. If it's another country, Emefiele will have been sacked by now.
Aluko Daniels, we thank you for coming on the program this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that would just be about the size of the program perspectives this morning. And we're looking at Nigeria today, and of course, attention again on the fight against corruption. This was one, big attention that this present administration gave to Nigerians, that it will fight it to a standstill. That if we do not kill corruption, corruption will kill us. Where are we with the fight against corruption today? And sharing thoughts with me on that today, Aluko Daniels, a long-distance call to Jos in Plateau State, an activist. He had been a student union leader at national level and, of course, at state level at Madibelo University there. And he had given his own thoughts about the fight against corruption and where we are with it. And so Nigerians making choices about what we're getting in the form of governance. We'll come back with perspectives tomorrow. I'd like to thank my colleague Job Daniels for connecting me with the people this morning, and of course Wisdom for putting us in the pictures this morning. Could not get some thoughts from the Facebook this morning, or we probably had some too. Okay, and just before we go, let's just take some thoughts coming out from the Facebook.
This one is from Jonathan George Gomez. Says, good morning, Mr. Toyin, Alabi, and your guest. He has spoken very well with good perspective from the Holy Book. It's obvious that the government's fight against corruption was not to salvage the country but to fight against PDP. Those who were arrested were those who didn't decamp to APC. Even Rotimi Amechi admitted on silent high level of looting in this administration. The latest 80 billion naira is the one we've heard, but there's so many yet to be known, especially among those aspirants, which many of them hold various offices. Yeah, I think that's
okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's coming out from our Facebook page on 98.9. We'll come back with perspectives tomorrow. Job, thank you for connecting also, people, and have a lovely day this morning.
Every day, baby.
This is the station playing today's best mix.
Terrific.
Victor FM.